Good morning. Today is Wednesday. Hey Oder Aleph. Tafshin Ayin Daled. We are in Teres Menachem, Purim Mamar Tafshin Aleph Tafshin Beis. In the Mamar Layehudim Hoysa Eira Purim Tafshin Beis. We are on page Reish Lamed Daled. We started Ois Zayin. We'll start it again. We'll begin from Ois Zayin, chapter 7, page Reish Lamed Daled. The Rebbe explained, say the Hishtalshalis, and he explained that beyond say the Hishtalshalis you have the Ein Sof, and in order to get from the multitude to the multitude of creation from Ein Sof, Hashem created a Memutza. He created Atzilus, the realm of Atzilus, to be the means through which you get from Ein Sof to the multitude of creation. Ein Sof being complete oneness. And in Atzilus in particular, Chochmat Atzilus being the first point. And the point that Rebbe was making is that the energy of the world and of all of creation depends on that system being intact. And that system is Ein Sof to Chochmah of Atzilus, from Chochmah of Atzilus, which is the intellectual aspects of the divine attributes, to the emotional aspects of the divine attributes, which give rise to letters, which are the actual creative energies. Letters of thought, letters of speech, which is the idea of thought is the energy of that from which Neshamas Yisrael, the Neshamas souls are created and born and made. Right? That's Bria. And then you have Yetzirah, which is Dibur, and then you have Asiyah, which is Maisa, thought, speech, and action. And all that depends on man. I made the earth and I created the man upon the earth, Barasi being the numerical value of 613. So it depends on man's performance of Torah and mitzvahs that this whole system works as it should, and the divine energy flows seamlessly in all of Seder Ishtalshalos, the chain order of creation, all the way down to the worlds and creation as we know it.
The Gematria of Barasi, is that the actual connection where the 613 comes from?
That's a hint. It comes from the fact that that's the way it is, but it also expresses itself in the fact that Barasi is Gematria.
Is that the biggest hint? Is that what it says?
No, I mean, that's why there's 613 mitzvahs, you mean?
Yeah.
Well, 613 mitzvahs there are because they correspond to the Ramach Evorim and the Shasagidim. 613.
A lot of machlokes about which one's mitzvah.
Okay, but
there are, so but everyone's going for that 613.
Well, that seems to be the number, as it were,
that's what I'm asking.
that permeates in all of, say, the Shtalshalos and the Evorim, the Malka, Hashem's quote-unquote limbs, you know. But it finds expression, that's why you have the hint, that's why it's hinted also in the Pasuk Barasi. What happens now if there's a deficiency? If man's learning to fulfill the mitzvahs is not as it should be. So we have a problem. What happens to say the Ishtalshalos? What happens to the divine energies then? It seems that if things aren't as they should, then the divine energy and particularly the letters can't come into being. The letters being the actual representations of the divine energy that the world needs to exist, right? So the Rebbe said that even if God forbid things aren't as it should in the behavior of man, a person should not become despondent. Ach afal pikein, Ois Zayin, page Reish Lamed Daled. Afal pikein, nevertheless, ein la'adam lipo beruche, man should not become despondent and depressed, should not become crestfallen. Mizeh, from the fact that things aren't the way they should, aren't as they should be. To the extent that it's very silly, it's a great folly, as the expression in the Mamarim of Chassidus is if a person does become despondent as a result of things not being as they should. Why? Because concerning this we say, concerning a situation where things aren't as they should, it is said that although Avraham does not know us, and Israel does not recognize us, nonetheless, you Hashem are our Father. This is a pasuk in Yeshaya, and I quoted to you quite at length yesterday from the Gemara in Shabbos, right? Daf Peites Amid Beis, where the Yidden, Hashem looks to Avram and Yisrael, Avram and Yaakov, to put in a good word and to speak well about the Yidden when things aren't good, and they are unable to do so. They don't because they're not able to do so. And it's Yitzchak that comes along and says he finds a way how to supplicate before Hashem and to pacify Hashem, and things should be all right. Yeah. What is Avram and Yisrael? Why indeed? It's a harsh Gemara, as we mentioned yesterday. It seems to be harsh, but the word is, according to Chassidus, the pshat is that by virtue of the divine spiritual level represented by Avram and represented by Yisrael, things when they aren't as they should be cannot be made right. There's a limitation, and it's specifically Yitzchak and what he represents that has the power, the spiritual power, to make things right, even when things are wrong. Right? What's Avraham? Chesed. Yaakov is, generally speaking, we say it's Tiferes, but Yisrael, if he calls it specifically Yisrael, it says in Kabbalah Yisrael is Zoh, Ze'er Ampin. Right? So he says like this, what is the idea? Generally, the idea of the emotional attributes, right, begin from Avraham. What is the characteristic of Avraham? It is the right line, the Kavah Chesed, the line of Chesed, of kindness. Shehur Eishes HaMidos, which is the beginning of all the emotional attributes. And since during the time of exile, the reason why we are in exile is because the conduct is man's conduct towards Hashem, man's attitude towards Hashem is in a manner of man turning his nape to Hashem, as mentioned before in the previous letter, in the previous chapter. So that's why Avram doesn't know us. Why? Because as mentioned before, when one turns one's nape to Hashem, meaning to say in the spiritual sense, it causes the divine energy also to turn away. It causes the hashpah, the divine energy and flow that is usually present within the midas alienis, within the celestial divine emotional attributes, to recede back into its source, to go away from the celestial emotional attributes of Atzilus. So Avram Layehudim, Avram doesn't know us. As is brought in the Talmud, in the tractate Shabbos, Avram wasn't able to protect the Jews because the midas are deficient; they don't have that capacity. And so too, Israel, in the celestial sense, doesn't recognize us. The Yisrael koyel zah, because Yisrael is a reference to Ze'er Ampin, again to the midas, right, to the emotional celestial attributes. Shu klal midas, which is also the idea of the general concept of the emotional celestial divine attributes. Nonetheless, despite the fact that the midas are deficient in their usual energy and therefore they cannot operate in the usual way, nevertheless, ein lipom is that we should not become despondent and depressed by this. Why? Ki ata avinu, because you are our father. V'hainu sheyesh ha'oras chochma ila. Who is the father according to the Kabbalah? Abba ve'ema is chochma and bina, right? So when we say ata avinu, you are our father, that we do have a dimension of the av, of the father. Who is that? What is that a reference to? This is a reference to ha'oras chochma ilah, a ray, as it were, from the celestial chochma, which is the highest level of chochma, from where the letters emanate. If you remember, that's the first point of chochma, as it is rooted in the very essence of the soul, in the soul itself. So, although the intermediary between Ein Sof and the lower levels and creation and so on and so forth is missing, is lacking. What is lacking? Avram and Yisrael are lacking. commission is boiled. And as mentioned before, what is the function of this means, this intermediary of the midas, of the celestial emotional attributes of Atzilus? Their function is to affect the letters to be revealed. They reveal the letters, but they don't create the letters. That's the point. The actual creation of the letters is specifically as a result of and from Chochma Ilah, the celestial level of Chochma. Because as mentioned before, the Abba Yosad Brata. Who is the one that founds the daughter? That's the Lashon of the Zohar, the expression of the Zohar. It's Abba Ilah. That's where it comes from. The Midas just reveal it. Therefore, although in the time of exile, the intermediary of this, of the midas, of the emotional celestial attributes, is lacking, which is represented in the ideas that are represented in the two Avram v'Yisrael, as the Talmud articulates. Umishum zeh ein ha'esis b'izgalus, and because of this lacking, the letters are not revealed. Nonetheless, you are our father, which is reference to what, to the celestial level of Chochmah. That's the point. Exile does not affect Chochmah Ilah. It remains completely intact. Even in the time of exile, we could reach this level of Chochmah Ilah, which is the root and the source for the creation of the letters. And it's just that it's not revealed. So don't become despondent. Even in the time of Golus, we could reach, and in a sense, as the Rebbe will carry on explaining later, we can, as it were, override the system. We could link into a level in an unusual way, and link into Chochmah Ilah directly. Although we're lacking the revelation aspect. So what? So the Rebbe goes.
What's the ima? We took out.
Sorry.
What's the ima in this? You got
the ima is bina.
Right.
But
how's it fitting to this? What we're talking about?
How does it fit into what we're talking about? Generally speaking, when we talk about emanations or creations, right? Just like in the physical sense, procreation takes place through the union of man and woman. So throughout Seder Shtalshalos, throughout the chain order of creation, you have this. You have the two images of the male and the female.
Or in Keli, to a certain extent.
Or in the Keli, or even the Pnimius and Chetzonis. There's different zivugim, different types of zivugim. In Keser there are zivugim. There's zivugim even in Atik itself. In Arich itself there's Keser. There are zivugim. In Chochmah and Bina, usually it's the union of Chochmah and Bina that give birth, as the Alter Rebbe says in Tanya. They give birth to the Midas. Right? Here, if we're talking about the letters, I guess the letters, I'm not sure exactly how it will work over here. If we're linking in directly into Chochmah, from where the letters come, I guess the letters come into being from the Zivug, as it were. But even then, you still need the Midas for the result of that Zivug to be revealed. But the basic idea is that you're over here, you have to link in directly all the way into the source, which is Chochmah Ilah, from where it all emanates.
Okay, thanks.
So now what happens? So the Rebbe articulates it in front. So what does it mean that it's there but it's not revealed? The Zehu, and therefore, if you remember before, the Rebbe mentioned that in the time when things are revealed, when things are in order, a Yid davens and is answered, and he sees the result straight away. You ask for Ruchnius, for spirituality, you're granted what you request. You ask for Gashmius, for something physical or material, Hashem grants it to you and you see it, right? What happens at the time of exile when we have this, as it were, emergency system, if you will? We override the usual way of doing things. This is also why concerning the time of exile it says it's just that we don't see our signs. What does it mean we don't see our signs? So the Rebbe explains. This is a pasuk in Tehillim. Print out this piece of paper. I don't know where it is.
your screen.
Oh. Okay. So it says in Tilim, this is the pasuk of Tilim. V'hainu, what does it mean we don't see our signs? We don't see our miracles. So what does it mean we don't see our miracles? Does it mean that there are no miracles? Or does it mean that there are but we don't see them? The answer is, they're there, but we don't see them. It's not the meaning of the intention of this pasuk is that there are no miracles, but rather, as the sages point out, there's a situation where a person, miracles happen and the person is not aware. The Gemara says in Masechta Nida, Daf Lamed Aleph, it says like this. I'll read it to you. Dorash Rabbi Yosef. Rabbi Yosef gave the following exposition. What is the purport, or the meaning of the pasuk of the verse, which says, I will thank you, Hashem, for you are angry with me, your anger turned away, and you comforted me. Right? It's a verse in Isaiah. So he says, the text alludes, it gives a parable of two men who set out on a trading expedition. When a thorn got into the foot of one of them, and he began to blaspheme and revile. Why? Because he has been compelled, because of this accident, to interrupt his journey. So he's getting upset. After a time, however, when he heard that his friend's ship sunk into the sea, and now being gratified by the turn of events that he's been saved and spared, he began to laud and praise. Hence it is written, your anger turned away, and you comforted me. Right? This is indeed in line with what Rabbi Eliezer stated, and what Rabbi Eliezer stated. What is implied by the pasuk, by the verse that says, "La'osin iflois gedolis levadoi," right? The pasuk that we say, we're very familiar with the Shabbos davening. Hashem, who does wondrous things alone, right? La'osin iflois gedolis levadoi. What does the pasuk say? Uvarach shen kvedi la'olam. And Hashem's name, the name of His honor, is blessed forever. What does that mean? He does wonders alone. Even the person for whom the miracle is performed is unaware of the miracle. That's the Gemara. Afilu balanes ein makeh b'nisay. She'ein balanes makeh b'nisay. Miracles happen, but the person is unaware. Just like that person who had the thorn in his foot, and he thought that because of that his plans were ruined, and actually that saved him. Right? The mashmos inyan, what does it mean? Sheyesh nisim. That there are miracles. What is lacking is the recognition that the miracles actually took place, that it's a miracle. Because the miracles are not revealed miracles. But rather they are miracles which one can explain as being clothed, being vested in the ways of nature. It seems almost natural. And the Rebbe goes on to dissect this even further. When we talk about the natural order of conduct, there are two types of conducts. First is nature itself. It's the usual way of how the world runs. This is a verse from Pashas Noach and Bereshis. Planting, harvesting, cold and warm, summer and winter, day and night, never stops. The normal order of things. This too is because of the will of the Creator. But rather it comes from which aspect of Getlachkeit? Elikim. The numerical value of Elikim is the same numerical value as Hateva, the nature. But what is nature? Godliness. That's only because we are so used to it and because of the routine of it all, that we're accustomed to see this every day, every moment and every time, at all times, it's possible to forget temporarily that it's a godly matter. To the extent that we can even think that the world is a palace or a city without a leader. Without a leader. God forbid. So that's one order of conduct, a natural order of conduct. V'abeis, there's a second type of conduct. There's a second type of another aspect to nature, but these are miracles that are clothed in nature. These miracles are not obvious to the eye of flesh, but rather to the intellectual eye, the mind's eye. If you think about it, you realize that what? That it's actually a miracle. For example, the miracle of Purim. Hashem made certain events to take place, and He caused the slaves to become angry with their master. It's a story of Bixam and Aseresh. It says, Kotzach, Bixam, Aseresh. They got angry at Achashverosh. Right? Because the story goes, the Gemara says, they got upset. They were butlers. They were servants. They served them. Once Esther came into the palace, Achashverosh was so taken by Esther that he spent an enormous amount of time with her. In things that a man and a woman do. And as a result of that, he was thirsty all the time, and he kept on pestering them to bring him drinks. So they got upset with him. They decided to get rid of him. That's what the Gemara says. And so because of that, they decided to poison Achashverosh. So why did Hashem make that happen? Oh, this is one of. It seems like a natural thing. They got upset. They're going to get rid of the king, right? But this is part of the miracle. So he said he got them angry in order to make the miracle happen with Bixam Vaseresh that Mordechai found out about, and because of that, it was written up in the king's diary that he saved him, right? Baharigas Vashti, and then Vashti got killed. Esther, and Esther was taken to the palace. If you think about it, really, it's a miracle which is beyond nature. It's clothed in nature. The story flows. There's a certain flow to the story. And the beyond natural, the supernatural element here is not seen to the eye of flesh. But rather in the mind's eye. So this means the Rebbe contrasts that with the miracle which is completely beyond nature, which is even seen to the naked eye. That the miracle that took place on Purim is not like the miracle of the splitting of the sea, for example. Even without contemplation, the miracle was obvious to the eye of flesh. So in this instance, in these types of miracles, the miracles that are clothed within nature, but rather we're talking about miracles that are clothed in natural phenomena, natural ways. Those are the miracles within nature. So too there are miracles every day and every moment. You agree? 100%. But they're not revealed. The canal, as mentioned before, we don't see our miracles. There are the miracles. And we don't see them. So why don't we see them? The reason is the because what is deficient? We are lacking this. We're deficient in the midos, in the celestial midos, because of the barosi aspect of man is not as it should be. So therefore, there's a deficiency. There's a problem in the system. So that's why it's not obvious. Because Shehem Hamemutzoyim Laham Shechassis Galos Oisius Avram and Yisrael, the midas, the celestial emotional attributes of Atzilus, are the means, the intermediaries to draw down the revelation of the letters of the Oisius, or in this sense the Oisius, the signs. So therefore, they're not there. They're there, but we don't see them. And as we say in Moedim, which is a wonderful tefillah, if you ever stop for a moment and think, just listen to these words. It's just of Moedim. What do we say in Moedim? We thankfully acknowledge that you are the Lord our God and the God of our fathers forever. You are the strength of our life, the shield of our salvation in every generation. We will give thanks to you and recount your praise evening, morning, and noon for our lives which are committed into your hands, for our souls which are entrusted to you, for your miracles which are with us daily, and for your continual wonders and beneficences. You are the beneficent one, for your mercies never cease, the merciful one, for your kindness never ends, for we always place our hope in you. Hashem performs miracles for us, Erev, Bavoker, V'tzoraim, evening, morning, and the afternoon. And that's what it is. That's the way it is in our time. So it exists, so therefore we should not be despondent. We should be very happy and rely and have full bitachon in Hashem that He looks after us. And then the Rebbe is going to continue how this plays itself out in Avodas Adam, man service of Hashem, and we'll tie it into Purim. Mitzvah more tomorrow.